Guys, I'm Michael, the Greek Audio Geek. This is now the third take of me trying to do this video because I just keep rambling. So let me try this again. Forgive me, I have not had a nice coffee today, and that affects everything. Couple of things. Today we are talking about the Graphite Audio, their IC35 premium feet, which I love. And what do I love about them? I'm going to tell you about the sound that they do and how they help. They're also half the price of my previous winners. That's a plus. We've also got, and forgive me, I still have neck issues. We've also got their Classic 100 board. I love that board. It's beautiful. I can't lift it. It's too heavy for me to show you in this video. I do, however, post almost daily custom photos I take of this beautiful gear on my Facebook and Instagram channels. I will be posting some of those videos, some of those photos in this video. Please also go like those pages if you haven't checked them out. I post multiple times daily on the Facebook. It's almost like a forum, but with none of the attitude and crap of a forum. The gear that we have around us, we've got the Triode Labs 300B in beautiful, beautiful throwback 30s All-Tech green. We've got the Aric Audio 2A3 Super Amp. Love that thing. We got videos coming up on that. Off to my left, we've got the, I believe it's the Bernoco I Can't Turn to Look 6L6. We should have the Bernoco 300B behind me. Off to my right, going by memory, I think we've got the Tektron 45/2A3. It runs both 45 and 2A3 tubes. Here we've got the Dennis Had 45. Behind me, we've got the Alnick 300B. Off to my lower left, over there, we have the Bat VK80i, and then we are running the Airy Surat Helena DAC off my left shoulder here. So that's the system we've got running right now. But let's talk about vibration feet. Vibration feet sometimes do worse on the sound than they help. It is also very gear, shelf, floor, and room dependent. As an example, the isoacoustics, which are very popular, they don't sound good in my system on my wood shelf with my gear because they make the sound a little softer and a little more lethargic, yet they work well under these Timber Nation custom amp stands I had done up. I have them under there. They work well for that. The Sound Chaos. I really like the Sound Chaos. They are almost like miniature versions of the Well Float boards. I love the Well Float boards. I use them. In fact, I have them under my switch. I have them under my gear. And the only reason why I don't have more of the Classic 100s is because I had done the Well Float before the Classic 100s. But here's where I'm going with this. The Graphite Audio is half the price of my previous winners. My previous winners were the RevoPods under gear. Now, if you've noticed, I did do a video on the Well Float Delta feet under the speakers, but they were like $2,500 a set per speaker. Those are for speakers. I'm talking about all my gear now, everything you see behind me. And for that, these are my new champions. That is not to say the other stuff isn't good. For instance, I use Stack Audio under my speakers right now. I love the Stack Audio, a lot less expensive. I also use Stack Audio under my switches and things like that. They're about the price of the isoacoustics. They come with a 30-day in-home trial. But let's be honest, there is a performance difference between the Stack Audio and when you get into, at least in my system, something like the Graphite Audio, okay? I still use Stack Audio and Graphite Audio combined. In fact, I'll put up a picture you can see. In fact, I use a trifecta. I have a Well Float board. I then have Stack Audio feet under my switch. I am then using the Graphite Audios on top of the power supply, if I remember correctly, off to my right shoulder, because when you mix and match, you get better sound. So when I put the RevoPods on the Well Float board, I got better sound. What do I mean by better sound? More open, more decay, more air. And I also felt as though when I combined the RevoPods with the Well Floats, that it took away some of that up tilt, a little bit of that harshness, a little bit of that brightness that sometimes was, and I'm very sensitive to high frequencies, guys, it sometimes was a bit much with the RevoPods and my gear. In come the Graphite Audio at half the price of the RevoPods and probably 1/3 to 1/4 the price of the RevoPod and WellFloat platform. And I would say this little guy here comes in a set of 3, negates the need to spend the money on something like a WellFloat platform and the RevoPod feet. You can use these just by themselves. I preferred these over the RevoPod feet because, again, this is in my system. In my system, these sounded a little bit more fuller, a little bit more natural, more relaxed. They didn't alter the timbre of the music at all upwards like sometimes the RevoPods did. And it gave me a majority of the benefit of the WellFloat and RevoPod at a much, much lower, a fraction of the price. So I would suggest that you save yourself the hassle and simply go right to the IC35s. I think they're about $800 for the set. And put it under, I've tried it under all my gear. I've tried it under my DACs. I've tried it under preamps. I've tried it under switches. I've tried it under everything except the speakers because obviously they won't work under my speakers. And I consistently had a significant improvement in the sound, the air, the openness, and I'll give you an example in a minute, without any of that negative drawback. Which brings me to the Classic 100 platform. I love that thing. It's gorgeous. It also has, in essence, some of these feet under it. It's got a special material that it's made of, that's anti-vibration. That is a step up in performance from just the feet, which you would expect. It's more money. I love that because when I get into, for instance, we've got some Airy Surat stuff. Oh, that Airy Surat DAC. That DAC's almost 100 pounds alone. We've got some Airy Surat monoblocks that are coming that are like 140 pounds each or some insane number like that. For that, I don't want just 3 feet, okay, because it's such a big, heavy, awkward piece. For that, I want something like the board. The board is easy. I can just sit it right on top of the board. I also think the board looks badass. When that board is sitting on top of my shelf, that darker colored shelf, and it's right there in the middle, and I have a component on top, it is gorgeous. It is beautiful. I tried different footers with that board, and yes, there was an additional step up in performance with the Graphite audio feet and the Graphite audio board. I still felt that these combined together was the best combination versus everything else. So I'm running kind of that full Graphite audio from the platform up to the feet. Here's the differences that I've noticed, okay? For those of you, I'll link in my comments down below, I've linking to the my Qobuz playlist. One of the songs, for instance, is Above and Beyond. It's live at the Hollywood Bowl. It's Liquid Love. And you've heard me talk about her voice in the past where she is right, a couple of things. In the beginning, when the trumpets come and they're off to the left, they can sound harsh and kind of hurt your ears at louder volumes. When she comes on and sings, her voice is right on that cusp of, is it nasally and annoying or is it angelic and beautiful? And then in the middle of the song, when there's a very complex passage where you have 2 different sets of drums playing and the trumpets and things like that, can you hear the drums individually? Does the trumpet, is it kind of, are the trumpets muted or do they pop out? Do they have texture? Do they have richness? Does it have a more dramatic feel to it? The isoacoustics slowed and mushed all that together. The stack audio was a step up. The RevoPods were even a step up more, where they had the most air and openness of them all, but it tilted everything just a little bit into that uncomfortable region that I couldn't always get past. It's going to differ for you and your hearing and your system. When I put in the Graphite audio, not only did I have that openness and airiness, I had probably 98% 100% of the openness and airiness. But I had a more texture, more fuller sound that wasn't as thin sounding. It didn't sound bloated. It didn't sound slow. Everything was clear and distinct. And it just allowed me to get into the music and relax and enjoy it. Those are somewhat subtle differences, but when you get into higher end gear and you start listening at higher volume levels, it's more magnified. It's a larger difference. Guys, again, if you are running $1,000 speakers and you are running, I think my light battery just died. You're running $1,000 speakers and lamp cord, don't waste your money on this. If you're starting to get into mid-fi and hi-fi, then you want to start looking into the stack audio. Then if you really want to do it right, you want to do the Graphite audio. I'm telling you, I love the Graphite audio. I've tried so many different things, and the Graphite audio is the only one so far that I've come across on the components that gives me that fuller, richer, more open sound that I consider an important part of every single piece of gear I review. I listen to every single piece of gear without them first, and then I add them in. And we're talking, I've put them under at least 15 different components, and I consistently get the same positive results. So if this was kind of a little bit of a rambling mess, I'm sorry. It's an awkward topic in regards to trying to explain to you what I've heard, the other things that I've listened to, how it affects it, the positive attributes of it. So let me give you the 10-second news flash, okay? 10-second news flash. These Graphite audio feet are better than anything that I've tried in my system at half the cost. There you go. There you go. That is the news site, the news flash. Again, I think when you have to decide whether, and you're going to reach out to them, I'll put their website down below. They will help you whether the platform is right for you, whether the feet are right for you. I have found that the more you use, it becomes exponential. Like even putting them under the DAC, my streamers, my switches, in the places that you didn't think it would make a difference, it makes a big difference. And for you to go out and spend $10,000 or $15,000, if you go out and spend $7,000 on a component, and you're not spending the $700 for either these or the extra money to get the platform and do it right, it makes no sense, and I'm going to say this. In my mind, it makes no sense for you to upgrade your gear without first getting the best you can out of the gear, whether that be cables, speaker cables, power cables, vibration control. It makes no sense to, in my personal opinion, for you to keep spending more on gear if you're not getting the best performance you can out of it. Because I will say this, I have consistently found, generally speaking, when I have a lesser expensive piece of equipment and I put something like the Graphite audio feed under it or the platform, the Classic 100 platform, and I do things right, or I upgrade the cables on it and I get the best I can out of that is at a much lower price point going to give me better sound than if I have no vibration control and I have crap cables and a crap setup and the speakers aren't set up right and I buy more expensive gear. So don't go spending your money on gear until you've dialed your system in correctly. And it's going to take time, but it is a huge reward. Guys, I can't say enough good things about these Graphite audio. They come in this really cool box and everything, and that's how they come in the box. There's another pair right there. I'm telling you, it's money well spent. And I don't typically say that about stuff, but I can't imagine listening to this gear without the Graphite audio in it. And once you hear what it can do for your system, I don't think you're going to be able to go without it. So kudos to Graphite audio for coming up with the product that has all the positive attributes that I like for vibration control. It does not tilt it up. It does not thin out the sound. It does not make it uncomfortable to listen to at a much lower price point than my previous reference ones. Guys, stay tuned. I have a lot more gear coming up. As you can tell, we have a lot more tubes. I'm also going to be at the show, the audio show, the Southwest Audio Fest in Dallas. So if you are there, I would love for you to say hello. Shoot me any questions down below if you have about them or what you're using. Tell me what your experience is. And for me, this is one of those things that's classified as a no-brainer that I need to have it in my system, because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Guys, I'm the Greek Audio Geek, and I approve of this message. Opa!